I, 20 female, moved away for college 2 years ago. This is going to be my final year. My dad expected me to move back to my hometown once I was finished because that's what his family does. They stay local, close to family, and that's it. But I knew I would be different. He and I don't have the best relationship, and I'm not at all close to his wife. So to me, a fresh start will be a really positive thing, and it has been. I told my grandparents and my aunt and uncle a while ago. My grandparents kind of knew. They brought it up, that I was so much happier since I left, and I am. I am in a much better place. About a week ago, my dad asked me about moving back and told me my siblings missed me. They were on the video call, as was his wife, and that's when I broke it to him, because he was saying they had a planned trip in the summer, and I could watch the kids for him. He was shocked, annoyed, and he hung up once he realized I was serious. Then he talked to my uncle and then my grandparents, and when he realized they knew and my maternal family knew, he was super mad. He felt like he should have been the first person I told and that we needed to discuss it. I told him there was nothing to discuss, that as an adult, I made a decision about where I'll live. He accused me of leaving my whole family behind, to which I replied, I was near family, my mom's family. Things are still dicey and I'm okay with that. Things have never been so good that this would be really hard for me. But my aunt thinks I should have told him first, and before he brought it up. My dad said the same thing. So now I'm wondering if I did handle this badly. I think it was easier to tell everyone first because I have more contact with them. I really don't talk to my dad all that much. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, but your dad sure is. You are free to live your life without the constraints of his deluded expectations to be his free babysitter and fulfill his personal desire to be the patriarch of his brood. You were right to tell him last, because he was clearly planning a life for you without your consent. Go enjoy your travels, adventures, and do not give another moment of your energy to his oncoming temper tantrum. I'm trying to figure out how he plans a trip and just expects you to watch the kids? No asking? Just assuming? Sounds like since she and Stepmom don't have a good relationship, they act as if they're doing a good thing inviting her. Surely she would not be spending a ton of time with the couple because of this not great relationship, and they're gaslighting her into babysitting. So messed up. Andy seems to have held more resentment due to her bond with her mother's family side, and the fact that they knew more than the fact that he would be missing his own daughter. You are the idiot, not because of the choice of where to live, but because you told everyone but him. Part of being an adult is having the tough conversations, and you avoiding it was easier, but did make you an idiot. So my husband works overnight shift, and for whatever reason, when he gets home at 6 a.m., he immediately goes into our daughter's room to make sure she isn't doing anything wrong. Our daughter is little and has always been an early bird, 4:30 to 5 a.m., but she never gets into anything that she isn't supposed to. She usually sits in her room and will turn on the TV to watch Netflix until I get up to make her breakfast. There was never any rule enforced that she couldn't do this. Well, yesterday morning was like the rest of the mornings, and he immediately went to her room, where he found her on her Xbox playing Roblox quietly. He grounded her for a week. Why? Because she doesn't need to be playing video games that early. He instead expects her to lay in bed and do nothing until I get up at 8 a.m. and has said she doesn't need to do or touch anything, including TV. I work evening shift and don't get to bed until after 2 a.m. due to my schedule. I think this groundation is absolutely ridiculous, and I told him straight up that he's micromanaging and needs to stop. He said he isn't micromanaging anything and that our daughter needs to understand that rules need to be followed. Again, a rule that was never brought up or ever enforced, to my knowledge anyways. As I said, I work evenings. I work from home, thank God. However, given that my daughter is now grounded and her dad has completely locked the house down, has everything of hers put in high places that he thinks she will cause mayhem with, like markers. She has been coming in and disrupting my work at least every 10 minutes to ask me for stuff or to throw tantrums because she's bored. After about 18 times of this last night, I immediately grabbed all her coloring supplies and gave them to her, as well as put on her favorite movie in the background to keep her entertained so I could work efficiently. Husband comes home this morning and sees the markers still on the table because I honestly spaced picking them up last night, and he went off on me, saying that I am undermining his authority and that our daughter is never going to learn because I went back on the groundation. I told him that he is micromanaging and needs to step down because he can't expect me to work full time while trying to keep our little girl entertained the entire time as well. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. He is being cruel to your daughter. No one can expect a child who is awake to lie motionless in bed for 3 hours, and there is literally no reason to want that other than control. He is treating her like a thing, not a person. Shut it down before it causes real damage. You are not wrong. Daughter seems remarkably well behaved for a 5-year-old if she is happy to just watch Netflix quietly until a more reasonable hour. If your husband does not want her doing this, that is a conversation you should both have, and an alternative should be given. Punishing her when there was never an established rule is wrong. So wrong. Even if there was a rule, taking away everything the child has to entertain herself seems cruel to me. That poor girl is probably wondering what she did to be treated like this. The behavior of your husband is not okay. Please continue to advocate for your daughter. You're her voice. You are not the idiot. There's something very wrong with your husband, though, to treat a little child this way. And you shouldn't ground children for breaking rules you made up 5 minutes ago. You need to take this seriously and try to sort out his controlling and arbitrary behavior, because in time, it's going to severely affect your child. So my 24 male girlfriend, 23, who we'll call Jess, and I have been living together for 7 months. She moved in after she learned she'd be working totally online. We've dated for 2 years. Jess has a very close-knit friend group that she's been with since early college. One of the guys in her group, who we'll call John. John is a gay dude and is the only guy in her friend group. John is very flamboyant, and he has a history of saying things that are very inappropriate towards me. Like he'll constantly say inappropriate things to me and about me. He constantly says things to my girlfriend like, "Be quiet before I sleep with your boyfriend," as a joke, and that really grosses me out and makes me feel uncomfortable. My girlfriend thinks it's hilarious. This came to a head a few nights ago. A few of my girlfriend's friends, including John, came over for the evening, and I was out with them. They had a little bit to drink, and John was being too much. I pulled Jess aside and told her that John was making me feel uncomfortable and that she needed to tell him to stop. She said that they were just having fun and that I needed to lighten up, but she'll still tell him to stop. She, in a joking way, told him I was feeling uncomfortable, and that became the new topic of the joke. John then hinted that I might be uncomfortable and defensive because I might be a little gay. This is where I drew the line. I'm not. I was angry at him and I asked him to leave. The night was pretty much halted. Jess and her friends tried to convince me to calm down, but I was done. After he joked about me being gay, he needed to leave my house. Eventually he and all of Jess's friends left, and she went off on me. Apparently all of her friends were mad at me too for ruining the night and accused me of being intolerant. Even my girlfriend said it came across as intolerance that I reacted so badly to him just joking about me being gay. Am I the idiot? You are not the idiot, but your girlfriend surely is. You told her you felt uncomfortable, and she made a joke out of your discomfort instead of taking her friend aside and explaining that his jokes needed to stop because he's overstepping your boundaries. OP, I hope you and your girlfriend can calmly sit down and talk this through, because if she can't see what she and her friends did was wrong, I don't see a healthy future for your relationship. You are not the idiot. As a gay man, I am so tired of people in our community acting like this, and it is especially common for younger guys. Being gay is not a get-out-of-jail-free card to act however you like and make people uncomfortable. I also despise guys who try and project their own orientation onto straight men who aren't interested. Oh, he's not responding to my flirting. He must be in denial. He must be gay. You are straight. You are in a relationship. His behavior made you uncomfortable, and you did the right thing and communicated your feelings to your girlfriend to handle. He is her friend. It is therefore her responsibility to deal with it. She didn't, and in the process, she proved that she valued her friend's feelings over yours. None of this was a joke. He was trying to humiliate you. It's not the content of what he was saying that is the problem here, but the behavior. This was unwanted attention, which is always a problem, no matter the genders or orientations of the people involved. John has a rancid personality. You don't have to tolerate this stuff in your own home. You are not the idiot. John, your girlfriend, and her other friends are. This happened a couple of months ago, but was recently brought up. My husband and I come from very different socioeconomic backgrounds. His mom is an executive at a PR firm, and my mom has always worked minimum wage jobs. Despite all of that, he is sweet and caring and has never looked down on me, though I think his mom does, and I know his dad, they're divorced, does. My mother-in-law got engaged during our wedding planning processes. Now, my mom had only met mother-in-law once or twice and had never met the fiancé. She does, however, have a lot of very strong opinions, and when mother-in-law showed her the ring during my bridal shower, my mom said that her fiancé didn't take their relationship seriously because the ring had some black accent diamonds on the band, and my mom thought that that was a sign that he wasn't going to be faithful. My mother-in-law was reasonably offended and just smiled and said, "This ring cost more than your single wide." I was floored that she would use that word. I lived in a lot of awful apartments growing up, but not a single wide. Not that there is anything wrong with that, so she was obviously just being classist. I told my mom that her comments about the ring were totally stupid, and she doesn't even know the guy. I asked her to apologize, and she did. Then I asked mother-in-law to apologize for being classist. Mother-in-law rolled her eyes and said she was sorry if she hurt our feelings, so kind of a bad apology. This was brought up recently as one of the reasons mother-in-law doesn't like me. My husband is totally on my side and cussed his mom out. It turned into a big thing because mother-in-law's new husband yelled at him for speaking to her like that, and we were asked to leave. My husband left her a voicemail telling her that he isn't sorry and she's a witch. I just want to know if I was in the wrong for causing drama in my new family. Holy smokes! Your mom got a look at mother-in-law's engagement ring and said it showed that her fiancé was going to cheat on her? And you were all mad at mother-in-law? And then your husband called his own mother a witch? Dang, is this some kind of Jerry Springer knockoff? You are all idiots here. You are all wrong. Your mother's comment was nasty and completely uncalled for or justified. What is that, by the way? Some kind of superstition? Still, she set the relationship in an adversary way right from the start, and mother-in-law responded in kind. They both sound awful. Don't try to mediate or get in between. They'll eat you and your husband alive. You are all idiots. Your mom started this by making an extremely distasteful and cruel remark to someone she didn't know well. Your mother-in-law responded in kind. Totally agree it was classist, but maybe people shouldn't insinuate that an SO will cheat. Mother-in-law should apologize, and not doing so makes her an idiot too. You are an idiot for downplaying your mother's remarks. I'm glad your fiancé has your back, and he's possibly the only one who isn't wrong here. I come from a family of Japanese immigrants. My grandparents came to my country when my father was still a kid. Here is where he met my mother, got married, and where I was born. As a child, I was never a kid to have many friends, or any for that matter. Most people always thought it was just a personality trait, but that's far from the truth. My father was a rough and stern man, and there is no way around it. Ever since I was young, his family and himself always tried to push certain things onto me. How I should behave, how I should be, how much effort I should put in my things and all that. Once I enrolled in school, things got progressively worse. He always pushed me to be at the top of my classes, even when grades didn't really matter. I remember once, when I was roughly about 8, I had a test. The subject was my native language, and I didn't score well. It was roughly 75%. I was having a hard time with it and was struggling. This was the first time I was grounded for not being up to his standards. This was just the first of many to come. For him, anything less than a 95%, we don't use letter grades here, was not a good result, and I was punished and disciplined accordingly. I won't get into what happened here, as this isn't the place for that. Regardless, as cliche as this might sound, yes, I see the irony of it all. I became extremely introverted and would spend all my time studying, not because I liked it, but because I was afraid of what could happen should I not do well. This was my daily life from infancy until I went to college. There, I had a lot more freedom and could for the first time be myself. Thankfully, I met some amazing people that I'm friends with until today, and also the woman who I'm now engaged to. Regardless of that, I always resented my family because of that. Since then, I got into therapy and I've been working my feelings out, but it is a slow process. However, a few days ago, my family invited me and my fiance for dinner at their house. I didn't really have an excuse to avoid it, thus we went. Things were all right for most of it until they started to talk about the past, and my father said something like, "Oh well, B was never a very friendly child. He used to stay locked up in his room all day." At that moment, I felt so bad about myself that I couldn't keep quiet anymore and ended up telling him the reason, that he was the reason I suffered so much. Apparently, that came as a shock to him. He said that he only tried to make sure I was going to have a good future. I ended up going home after an argument, but now my family is taken to calling me an ungrateful idiot. My father hasn't said anything more than that. It's mainly everyone else. I can't help but feel bad about it. I probably could have kept that to myself. Anyway, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You simply told the truth when your family was teasing you in front of your fiance. It's basically another form of bullying from your father. You did what you needed to do to stand up for yourself and stop his behavior. It doesn't matter what your father's intentions were in the past. He treated you poorly and bullied you, and he's still doing it. There is no excuse for that. He certainly doesn't have a good excuse now. Also, you don't need an excuse to decline going to dinner. A simple, "I'm sorry, I can't," or "that doesn't work for me," or "no" is all you need. You are not wrong here. You felt it was time to share those feelings, and so you did. Your feelings are valid, and how your family reacts to that is their problem. It seems your father himself was more shocked than offended, so maybe speaking to him directly and ignoring all the other messages from family will help. I, 24 male, am a teaching assistant at a large university, and I was fortunate enough to get an office in the building that I work in, however small it is, to myself. Not the case for most grad teaching assistants. As of lately, as you can imagine, I have not been making much use of it, as most of my meetings with the undergrad students in the section that I am a teaching assistant for have been conducted over Zoom. My girlfriend, 21, started therapy at the beginning of the school year, but all of her classes are online, and so she's living at home right now. Because I've had no use of my office for the last several months, it's a pretty private space and it's about 15 minutes from where she lives. I talked to my advisor about it and offered the space for her for privacy to do her sessions with her therapist. The day before yesterday, Wednesday, an undergrad student in my section expressed trouble with statistical software, and we tried troubleshooting over Zoom, but to no avail. The student was freaking out about a hiccup in their final project, so much so that we had to do a breathing exercise together so I could understand their words again. I told them that if they could meet me at my office the following day, I was sure we could figure it out. I texted my girlfriend and asked her what time her appointment was. It was later in the afternoon, which conflicted with the student's availability. I told her there's been a change in plans, as I'll need the office space to meet with my student around that same time, but offered the alternative of using my apartment while I am out. The only downside is that it's an hour commute by public transportation from where she lives. She asked me if it was possible that the student could come to my apartment and work in the lobby downstairs, seeing that they needed my help so urgently. This is a female undergraduate. I told her that, 1, me even asking her to come to my residence is inappropriate and can be misconstrued 1,000 different ways, leading to all sorts of accusations. And 2, I needed the software on the desktop in the office. She was obviously disappointed and upset with me, but begrudgingly committed to the commute. If it matters, we've been together for 1 year. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your office is, first and foremost, your office, provided to you to use in conjunction with your teaching assistant position. As you said, it would have been entirely inappropriate for you to meet the student at your apartment. even a common room, and especially since you have an office. Your girlfriend is just annoyed because the setup she's used to so far isn't available, and it's a frustration for her. However, her experiencing that frustration does not make you an idiot. You didn't even have to offer your apartment for her to use as a consolation to losing the office. So the fact that you provided her that makes you even more right. You are not the idiot. You didn't kick her out mid-session. You didn't deny her from ever using it. She had options of rescheduling or canceling the session. It sounds like she was just upset at the commute, but she could have probably handled the whole situation better.